Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to Freedom Fest 2016. You have the privilege of hearing live all the great stuff that's going on here. It's not every day that you have the beautiful and glamorous Lily Tang Williams sitting at your desk with her lovely Mao opposition dress. But we also have with us today Matt McKibbin, forgive me, and I apologize for that. As a fellow Irishman, I should have been able to have gotten that. I've been under the duress of being around Sean Lewis. Matt McKibbin, D10E. What is D10E all about, sir?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. D10E is a decentralized tech conference, and it's our second event. It's coming up next week, July 19th and 20th in San Francisco at the Marriott Marquis. It's based on four main pillars. People that are really passionate about decentralization in the economy and in society. So the first pillar is Bitcoin and fintech. You know, how are we innovating in the financial technology world to eliminate middlemen and create innovation? The second one is the sharing economy. So we feel like no one was really making them feel special. I mean, there's so many sharing economy companies out there now.
Now, I want to go back real quick.
Yeah.
You're talking about decentralization?
Yeah.
Are you supposed to be talking? I know we're Freedom Fest, but the government's listening. Decentralization? Are you crazy?
Yeah, I mean, decentralization is something that we kind of value here in American society. Political decentralization. I mean, what are the biggest central organizations, central institutions that we have? One of them is the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Right. It centralizes our money and it has a monopoly on that. The second one is the government. It is the biggest centralized institution in your life. And so the more types of things that we can put off onto decentralizing technologies and make them easier and have less middlemen in between, the better off we will be in society, I think, and the less interference these central institutions have to have in our lives.
Now, most Americans would think, well, gee, we've gotten along pretty well with the Federal Reserve since 1913, and, we're doing all right. I mean, what's wrong with having a Federal Reserve that not only controls interest rates, but also attempts to help in terms of economic activity?
Yeah, I think you're playing a little devil's advocate here. But, I mean, the dollar's lost, 99% of its value since 1913.
You're supposed to say that by saying they only lost.
Only lost. They're only at 1% of their value back then. They don't base any, it's not based on any sort of scarce commodity like gold anymore, because we took it off the gold window in 1971 with Nixon. Yeah. And they've been relatively irresponsible, I would say, with their monetary policy, and especially in the past decade, 0% interest rates, and they've printed $4 trillion. So they're not, and the only tool they have is to print more money.
Yeah, exactly, and that's all debt that's supported by any thing of relative nature, just promises.
Yeah, exactly. And so, one of the main reasons I got into Bitcoin in the first place was because I saw it as a solution to the Federal Reserve System that we could grow on our own, and we could build our own applications on this. It's really a money protocol. We've got the internet, and it was based on TCP/IP, HTTP. Your websites. You've got your TCP/IP. Well, Bitcoin is the internet of money, the internet of finance, the internet of property, and we get to build all kinds of applications on that. Imagine you could invest in TCP/IP 20 years ago. I'm going to invest in that thing. Everyone's going to use it.
Exactly. Now, everyone wants to know. Everyone's been told, stay away from Bitcoins. Don't get involved with Bitcoins. It's a nice idea, but don't get involved. What are Bitcoins, and why should Americans consider Bitcoins as a tool of not only decentralizing money, but also having a credible tool of operation in the money supply system?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so Bitcoin is, what is Bitcoin? Can you do that in a soundbite, right? And so Bitcoin basically is a protocol on the internet. It's a list of instructions that everyone follows, and it allows you to transfer value from one peer, one person, on to another on a network without anybody in between. So you have a giant accounting ledger that's really secure on the internet that no one can go back and change or erase or do, and everyone can use this accounting ledger, but no one gets to control what it says. We all have the ability to use it. So this accounting ledger is called the blockchain, and Bitcoin, the first application of this protocol, was a currency. Okay, we can trade units of account from one to another. That's pretty cool. Yeah. As we build more and more on top of this financial infrastructure, we're building more other types of applications, such as voting, right? Why would you need to have a vote counter, count pieces of paper at your local office, when you could have a blockchain that would be able to do that, and there was no way they can cheat? It's always, recorded permanently. One other thing is property registration is a non-financial outlet. You have a permanent public ledger that everyone can use. What is one of the most things you want to keep track of value? Property.
Exactly.
So there are numerous, so many applications that are being built, and it's almost akin to the printing press, in that it allows for financial freedom anywhere in the world. There's 3 billion people on the planet that don't have a bank account or have the ability to trade with each other, and now with your smartphone, you can be your own bank. So it's pretty amazing.
I think it's one of the most awesome discoveries, or at least creations, in American culture. Along the lines of Bitcoin, you speak to the fact that there are 3 billion people around the world who do not have access to bank technology or banking, and it may be because of credit situations, it may be because of geography, it may be for any particular reason. How does the Bitcoin provide that bridge to those 3 billion people?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and one that a lot of people are struggling with right now in terms of, how do we get this technology in their hands?
Yeah.
Right? Well, so one of the things that we have in this country is we sometimes take for granted is our financial infrastructure. We have banks everywhere. We can go down. And not everyone has it, but you can still go down if you have good credit, open a bank account, and you're okay. Now, the other countries, they don't have that financial infrastructure. It's expensive to build all the buildings and all the security and all of that. What this does is it allows anyone with a smartphone or even a dumb phone to be able to trade units of account or trade goods and services depending on what other applications you use. So they get to leapfrog that financial infrastructure, and now they just need to put in telecommunications networks, and they can do mobile money, and they're figuring out different ways. It's hard for someone who's never had a cell phone or done a bank before to use a new technology. You need to have good safeguards to include them, but the entrepreneurs are figuring this out, and whoever solves it's going to be a billionaire, right?
Exactly. We were talking with Matt McKibbin, who is the D10E aficionado. Let me turn it over the other way for the easy reader at home. Okay, he's with DT&E, and they have an event next week, the 19th, the 20th, in San Francisco. Can you tell us all about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's July 19th, 20th, 19th. There's a networking event at a Zumo Japanese restaurant in San Francisco. You get to meet all the speakers, your sponsors. There's an open bar, of course, and you get to participate. And then July 20th, there's the conference. Keynote starts out with John McAfee, who's the inventor of McAfee Security, and he recently ran as the Libertarian president. He didn't quite get it. Gary Johnson won. But and then there's a bunch of speakers in the morning, panels in the afternoon on a variety of topics of smart contracts and the sharing economy, and then we keynote with Andreas Antonopoulos, who is the author of Mastering Bitcoin, the O'Reilly books. You see the little animals on the front?
Yep.
He wrote the book on Bitcoin.
Wow.
So he's going to be an amazing speaker.
And that's probably going to be very expensive. Most people are not going to be able to attend, right?
No, it's actually relatively cheap. So base ticket prices now, since we're a week away less, are $350. And, just having an open bar for a couple hours in San Francisco is totally worth that. Now, not only that, but you get to meet all the speakers, and then the next day you get to go to the entire conference. There's a small lunch provided, and meet everyone. And for your listeners, we've done a discount code, which is SHR Media. If you put that into the Eventbrite, and I think we tweeted it at you. I think it's 25% off.
Wow!
So that's almost close to $100 there.
Listen, revolutionary ideas, and I'm encouraging everyone to take advantage of going to this particular event. It's at the Marriott.
The Marriott Marquis in San Francisco.
Okay, 25% off. You can go to the website now. Which is the website?
It's d10e.org, d10.org.
Perfect. And it's not like a 19-page application to get a gun license in DC.
No, it's not. It's a quick Eventbrite. Click with your PayPal, and you can buy a ticket real quick. It's going to be. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to meet everyone and see everyone and share this decentralizing technologies, the improving technologies with the world.
I want to ask you a real quick question. Yeah. Because as we're coming towards the end, decentralization, drones have been in the news, and we just received from the Transportation Department a huge litany of bureaucracy now. I mean, you used to be able to get a drone from the Radio Shack or whatever and call it a day. You could use it. But now, if you don't get a special permission from the Transportation Department, you can't use your own drone. I want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, this was unfortunate, having to register your drone and do all of that. I would say that someone who's a little bit innovative could probably 3D print their own drone, and it would be unregistered. But I'm not advocating breaking that law by any means. But I'm just saying. But yeah, it's unfortunate that you have to register the flying things, but I believe that they have put down some rules and regulations now that at least is going to open it up to a lot of businesses that can deliver things with drones in areas, which will be tens of billions of dollars industry to do all kinds of drone deliveries. You could have drones mow your lawn. You could do all kinds of things like that.
Yeah. So literally, we're watching a new economy come to the fore. There's still people who are grasping and holding on to the old economy, and they don't like you, Matt McKibbin. They don't like the fact that you're talking about bitcoins, and they don't like you. The banks certainly don't like you for the bitcoins, and there are industries that retail hardcore industries that don't like the whole idea of subverting traffic through the internet for retail sales. Is this important, and why is it important to decentralize?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, decentralization empowers the individual. It takes power away from large centralized hierarchies, and it puts it back into the individual's hands, because there is no controlling top-down approach when you have some sort of decentralized system. So whether it's 3D printing, which is the decentralization of manufacturing, it allows people to print their own things, or growing your own sustainable farm and grow some of your food, or Bitcoin, which is one of the decentralized monies. This transfers power back from large centralized institutions down towards the individual over time, and we're able to prosper more, and we don't have to go through as many middlemen. And those people are threatened, and that will always be the case as innovation comes. I mean, the candle maker was very much threatened by electricity, right? Light bulbs, and so you either have to adapt or you'll fail and you'll lose your customers. Blockbuster was definitely threatened by Netflix, and so you have to adapt to coming technologies, and technologies are only going to continue to advance in how fast they're moving. So.
And that's what I want you to convey to people, because a lot of people say, well, the drone's going to take my job. The computer's going to take my job. that's not going to happen. Am I right in this new economy?
So, I mean, there will definitely need to be a shift in people's what they do and how they add value to others. So that's really what I would say. Yes, there's going to be shifts. We're not going to have to do as many meticulous tasks ourselves, but that will actually create more prosperity in the economy. And what you need to do is figure out, as long as we add value to each other, as long as we can figure out a way so that we can add value to each other, we're going to be all right as a society. But that change can be quite disruptive. And there are organizations, and eventually maybe we have some sort of universal basic income that if we don't have to do boring tasks anymore, we can all do. I don't know if that'll ever work out, but it would at least give people more freedom to do what they want. With the money, right?
Exactly. And the whole concept, because a lot of people are standoffish about decentralization because they fear that the world that they have will change so greatly that they won't be able to advance or be a part of the new economy in the way that they were in the past. And we know that not to be true. The greater the freedom for the individual, the more prosperous they're going to be.
Absolutely. The more prosperous and the more wealth that we're all going to have. All the votes are going to be raised in this. But I will say that it absolutely is something that we need to be careful of. We don't want when it changes and there are people that are affected, we want to help them with retraining programs. We want to help them with as many different programs as we can to make them adapt as fast as possible and as well as possible.
Exactly. As long as they're privatized, they're fine with me.
Yeah.
Matt McKibbin is with us, D10E. Tell us all about how you can go to your event on the 19th and 20th at 25% off.
Yeah, absolutely. Go. So the code is SHR Media. That makes sense, right? Yeah. And if you put that into the Eventbrite, you should be getting a 25% off discount. And you can come down for the day on the 20th, or you can come to the 19th and the 20th. It includes both of them. So I really hope to have you there, and it's going to be a pretty amazing event.
Matt McKibbin, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Matt McKibbin, I'm telling you, there is a new economy coming, and it's not boldly created so that men are left in despise. Or in poverty. This is a brand that will allow us all to be free and more prosperous. Definitely check out D10E.org, D10E.org, and make your way down to San Francisco to the Marriott. Am I correct?
That's correct. You can follow us on Twitter, D10E_con. You can follow us on Facebook, and you're going to be there for the next event.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being with us, Matt McKibbin. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have done another fake, we will be right back with more of the best from the great Freedom Fest.
Now it's time for your show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.